I do believe I'm going to offer the golden recipe. This is Yahoo 10 team league, season long. I play for money on Yahoo. I really like it. I don't play season long anywhere else but Yahoo. But I've been doing mock draft after mock draft after mock draft, going down the ladder 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9, 10. That's your draft position. Right now, I'm drafting third. I want to be in the first 7 picks. Now you can make excellent lineups with 8, 9, and 10th pick, but I've found the first 7th picks. I think this year you want to go running back, wide receiver, quarterback, tight end. The first 4 picks. Let me make my pick here. I'm gonna take Austin Eckler right here. Boom. Some people may prefer a wide receiver like Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, but I like established, proven, high quality running backs. And first pick, and like last year, Jamar Chase got hurt, right? So, but anyone can get hurt. But anyways, barring injury, this year I think your first 2 picks, first 2 rounds, you want to go wide receiver, running back, whichever one you want to do first or second, and then the 3rd pick I do believe has to be a quarterback. And 4th pick, I think, has to be the tight end. I think Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes are the quarterbacks you want. You essentially have 9 players on your fantasy team. I do believe the first 8 rounds, you've got to go wide receiver, running back, quarterback, tight end, wide receiver, running back, defense, kicker, and then the 9th round is where you fill in the utility flex. Now, you can alter from that a little bit, and you may have to, but I'm just going to show you my draft here, not make this video too long. So you see I've got a running back. Now I think it's essential to go wide receiver. Now, if I'd have taken a wide receiver first, I would be saying, now I need to get a running back. Now, this can change a little bit, but I do believe this is very important. So who do I got for wide receiver? The wide receivers are disappearing quick. Garrett Wilson's with Aaron Rodgers this year. A.J. Brown is probably the better pick here. He had a big year last year, and if it's anything like that. So, yeah, A.J. Brown's probably the pick. Okay. Essentially, the first 4 rounds, what I'm doing and why this is probably going to be a winning recipe is because I'm going to take 4 players that could be the absolute best in fantasy football this year at their position, right? Austin Eckler could be the best running back this year. A.J. Brown could be the best wide receiver this year. Now, probably not, but probably top 2, 3, 4. Right in. He could be the top one. And now I'm gonna take a quarterback here. Now you can eyeball this and see how the draft is going. But you can see there's Patrick Mahomes here and Josh Allen here. Kelsey would be the number 1 tight end, of course. And Mark Andrews is still here at tight end. He's basically going second. So okay, I have a pick now. Right, I can probably get maybe the absolute best quarterback in the whole NFL in fantasy football this year. It's probably going to be Patrick Mahomes, right? Barring injury. Josh Allen could be close, but let's go ahead and just take Patrick Mahomes. My first 3 picks. Each one of those guys could be the very best player in fantasy football, and that's why I think you need to stagger this year. It's real important. The first 4 picks have got to be wide receiver, running back, quarterback, tight end. The 4 different types of players, because if I didn't take Mahomes there and I took another wide receiver, my second wide receiver is probably not going to be the best, right? Maybe it's only 12th or 15th best this year, but then I skip Patrick Mahomes to do that, and then I come back down and I end up getting like Lamar Jackson, who's a good quarterback, but he's probably not going to be Patrick Mahomes this year, right? So okay, so now I'm gonna get one of the elite tight ends right here. Just doing all these mock drafts is very important. Drafting from every position. So only Kelsey's been taken so far. Mark Andrews, T.J. Hawkinson, George Kittle. They're probably the four tight ends you must have. Now Goddard is good, but he didn't have a great year last year. He could have a good year. Goddard's not bad. These other guys, they're good, but they're not you're proven year in, year out. Evan Ingram's interesting in Jacksonville. Later on, if you're desperate, he's probably one you want to take as well as Darren Waller. And I just don't think you want anyone else, right? I think you want one of these first four: Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson, Kittle. Waller could have a great year. And this year draft, I think it's real important to do it like this. And you get this feeling like you're the leader in the draft, right? You're the one that's creating the fad. Oh, look, Andrews just went. And this is round 4. So now I think it's very important to get Hawkinson or Kittle, and Hawkinson's in a good place there at Minnesota with Justin Jefferson running all over the field, scaring the death out of the defense. And Kittle's in a really good offense. I think I'm going to Hawkinson. Let's go Hawkinson. Patrick Mahomes, A.J. Brown, Austin Eckler, T.J. Hawkinson. That all 4 of those guys could be or could almost be the very best player at their position. And that's what you want this year, I think. I think it's essential you do that, right? Now, if I went wide receiver, quarterback, tight end, I'd be getting a running back down here. I'd be looking at Cam Akers, who's a very sketchy play this year. And then the Detroit running backs, who David Montgomery late in the draft could be excellent here. Average draft pick 70th. He could be a late pickup. He's probably going to be the starter. There's some really good picks later in the draft. We'll get into that. Okay, here's pick 5. So I want to fill in my wide receiver 2, my running back 2. And I'm not a big fan of both these running backs here. So let's see if we can get a high-quality wide receiver. Keenan Allen could be good this year. And look, I could take George Kittle for second tight end, but you don't want to mess around and miss out on your wide receiver. So let's go Keenan Allen. Now I want to find a running back here, and it's going to be in the 6th round with the 58th pick. And so what I've noticed is if you pick 8th, 9th, or 10th this year in a 10-team league, I can't really get into this system that I'm running right now. It gets a little different. I can end up with like Josh Allen, right? And I wouldn't have an Austin Eckler or a McCaffrey as my running back. I'd have probably like a Ramondre Stevenson and Josh Allen. So that's pretty similar, right? Here I want to get a running back. So Montgomery's in a wonderful spot. Detroit got rid of DeAndre Swift, so Montgomery's probably going to be their starting running back. And he's a high-quality running back, and this may be his year to break out and show what he's got. There's James Conner. But Montgomery's that Detroit team was by the eyeball test last year. Let's lock him in. Boom. There we go. He's the starter in Detroit. And Detroit, as the eyeball test went last year, Detroit looked like they had basically about the best offense in the league last year. So we'll see how that goes. David Montgomery could be in an excellent position this year. Excellent situation this year. Now we're running into round 7, and let's go over here to defenses. I think this is real important. Here's my 7th round. And look at San Francisco sitting there. 2022 stats. Let's go look at it. Dallas and New England were only teams more than San Francisco, but the eyeball test, San Francisco just looked just nasty. And this year they got them projected well above anyone else. So we're going to take a defense in round 7. With that same theory as the first 4 rounds, right? Round 7, round 8, I pick up a defensive kicker, and they probably have a very good chance of being the absolute best at their position. So what have I done? Quarterback, wide receiver, running back, tight end. Those 4 guys could be the absolute best this year at their position. And then kicker and defense could be the absolute best at their position this year. Montgomery could be the goal line back for a Detroit offense that is just sizzling. And we'll see how that goes. But, right, so let's go to kicker. And look at Justin Tucker still sitting there. They have him projected with a little more than Evan McPherson. And let's go to the 2022 stats. Justin Tucker, Daniel Carlson in Vegas. This year, Vegas has changed a lot, so Daniel Carlson may not have that great of a year. But you can see Tucker was the best last year. Now Harrison Butker was injured for a little bit, and Evan McPherson came on strong. But there's Justin Tucker, and look what they got him projected this year for 175. And that's, in the past, sometimes I didn't even take a kicker. but 175 points from the kicker in round 8. He might be the best at his position. So if someone were to take him first, I'd probably slide down and maybe take Evan McPherson. And then that'd be someone maybe you could take later, but let's just lock it in. Boom! My eighth pick is Justin Tucker. It could be the very best. Now look at that lineup. Every one of these guys has a chance to be the very best in fantasy football at their position this year, with the exception of Keenan Allen and David Montgomery. My wide receiver 2, running back 2. Obviously, they're probably not going to be the best, but they could both be top 10, right? That's pretty stout. So now round 9, I'm going to fill in my utility position. Let's go see who we got. Now this method, this little recipe is working from like round 1 through 7. Pick 1 through 7. Let's see. Ayuk, Rashad White's interesting. He's going to be the starting running back for Tampa Bay, and here we are in the 9th round. Are you kidding me? My dog likes it. There's a running back sitting there. You know what? I've been taking like Ayuk here, but Rashad White's still there. So let's take him. Got a starting running back in the 9th round. Right now, if he wasn't available, I probably would have taken Ayuk here. But a lot of these guys are high quality, and they're going to be real similar. There's tons of really good quality receivers in the late ends of the draft. Brandon Ayuk. Let's go down here and look at some of them. You might like some of these guys better than me. You might like other guys, just whoever you prefer. But like Deontay Johnson's sitting there, and let's go down here even further. You still got George Pickens. You got Gabe Davis, Brandon Cooks in Dallas might have a pretty good year. And where's Christian Kirk? Did he already get taken? He was way down here. You got Alan Lazard way down here at like 129th. Alan Lazard, are you kidding me? Aaron Rodgers throwing Alan Lazard and Garrett Wilson in New York. Alan Lazard could have a huge year, and he's basically going in about the last round of the draft. So there's really, really high quality wide receivers in the last rounds of the draft this year. This is the 10th round. And so Jamal Williams in New Orleans. Alvin Kamara could have legal troubles. He might sit out half the year, part of the year anyway. So Deontay Johnson's one. I'm going to take Jamal Williams here. Right? Jamal Williams is probably RB1 for the New Orleans Saints. Jamal Williams, the guy that left Detroit, right? The guy that Montgomery up here replaced. Jamal Williams had 17 touchdowns last year. So he's probably going to be the goal line back for New Orleans, even if Alvin Kamara does, have a decent year. So that's wonderful. And as you can see, I've done lots of these mock drafts, so that's why I'm making this video, because just give you something to think about while you're making your mock drafts. And you got to have a bunch of mock drafts under your belt from every pick before if you play for money, right? And so here we are in round 11. Who do I want to get in round 11? Let's stay away from Damian Harris in Buffalo. Hey, Damian Harris could have a good year. Khalil Herbert in Chicago is interesting. A.J. Dillon in Green Bay is definitely interesting. Who we got for wide receivers? Pittman Burks. Look at Gabe Davis sitting down here. You know what? Let's go take a wide receiver. I need to get a wide receiver in there. Now that was a bit of a stretch. Gabe Davis's average draft is like 110, and I took him at 103. What was it? 104, 103. But maybe AJ Dillon was the right pick there, but I need a wide receiver. I need a third wide receiver just in case. I already took a running back. I've got 4 running backs, and that was my third wide receiver. So I do like A.J. Dillon in Green Bay. Think if Aaron Jones gets hurt. Jordan Love, quarterback in Green Bay, he's might be excellent. So don't underestimate the Green Bay Packers wide receivers this year. It was like Christian Watson and the Romeo Dobbs guy. They could both have really good years. Here's Lazard way down here, 129. Antonio Gibson's not probably a bad pick. Who do I want here? Who do I got in the queue? Let's just let the queue run. Alan Lazard, I guess. So it's kind of just a crapshoot now at this point, 4 or 5 rounds. But lots of high quality. Like Kadarius Toney at Kansas City. Are you kidding me? The upside on this guy this year could be just enormous, right? He could be a superstar in the making. It just depends. Depends, right? If he gets the ball a lot. uh, let's go ahead and take Tony, another wide receiver. Kansas City. So look at my wide receivers, the quarterbacks that go along with the wide receivers. I took like Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts. My wide receiver 3 has Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. My wide receiver 4 has Patrick Mahomes throwing to him. I always like doing it like that. I'm kind of doing a lot of talking and not really preparing my cue like I normally would. But I'm staying away from most of the guys I'm not talking about here. Dante Foreman could have a big year in Chicago. Oh, I need to mention the quarterback in Chicago. Right, he could be nasty this year. Justin Fields could end up leading the league, the fantasy world this year. He could be the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. Justin Fields, the way he was running, but he doesn't protect himself sometimes, and he could take a big shot, and that's not good for your starting quarterback in fantasy. And but he could though, right? And if you miss out on Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, you're looking at I'd say Justin Herbert and Justin Fields are probably the last 2 quarterbacks in fantasy that you absolutely have to have if you want to win your league. Right? There's probably 6 or 7 of them guys that you have to have if you want a shot at it. And if you don't have them, you're probably done. Barring the unforeseen season. Tyler Boyd's not bad. Zay Jones is good. Let's take Tyler Boyd, Cincinnati. Guy Moore's awesome. Could be an awesome wide receiver. This is the last round. This is round 15. And you still got Sky Moore, Jeff Wilson, running back in Miami. Right, both the Miami running backs just hanging around till the very end of the draft. Like Jerick McKinnon in Kansas City. Let's just take him. I don't think I got him. I got Deontay Foreman was in my queue, but right, that's Jerick McKinnon. McKinnon could be the starting running back in Kansas City. If someone tweaks an ankle, right? And there he is in the 15th round. So lots of late draft high quality talent. But I think that's part of the reason why it's so important. The first 8 rounds this year. In the first 4 rounds, you got to go quarterback. You got to go wide receiver, running back, quarterback, tight end. The first 4 rounds, I think you have to fill those 4 positions. And then round 5, round 6, as you saw, I picked up Keenan Allen and David Montgomery to fill in there. And then quickly to round 7, I took the best defense. Round 8, quickly took the best kicker, right? And then filled in the utility with round 9. And then round 10 to round 15, right? The last 6 picks, there's just high quality talent, running backs and wide receivers this year, right? There's lots of X factors, lots of things that could happen there. But I think that's kind of why the first 8 rounds are so important, because there's just good quality everywhere. So you got to have super quality, right? Don't go through the first 7 or 8 rounds of this draft saying, "Oh, I can fill, I can get someone for this position later or something." No, go out and just bang the very best, very very top player you possibly can. Right, wide receiver, running back, quarterback, tight end. Right, and then I would even fill in kicker and defense probably over wide receiver 2 and running back 2 this year. But I don't, because the kicker and defense aren't being drafted that high, and I can get them time and time again in round 7 and round 8. So I'm taking RB2 and wide receiver 2 in 6 and 7, 5 and 6. And it's just, let's end the video. Look at the starting lineup: Patrick Mahomes, A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, David Montgomery, T.J. Hawkinson, Rachaad White, Justin Tucker, San Francisco. That's my starting lineup. The first 4 rounds, bang out 4 guys at 4 different positions who could be the very best at fantasy football this year. And then wide receiver 2 and running back 2 aren't super important, but I'm just taking them because I can get them. The first 4 rounds and then rounds 7 and 8, those 6 rounds I think are super important, and those are the ones you want to focus on. Getting the very position right, the very, very best players is basically what I'm talking about, right? The first 4 rounds, you could have the best players at their position this year in fantasy. And then round 7 and round 8, you can have 2 more players that could be the very best, right? So 6 of my top 8 picks could, in reality, literally be the very best players in fantasy football. And if they're not, they're going to be up there in probably top 3 or 4. So think about that. Almost my whole starting lineup, outside of wide receiver 2, running back 2, and the flex utility, outside of those guys, 6 of my 9 starters could be number 1. And if they're not number 1, they're probably going to be 2 or 3 or 4. But my whole lineup, right? That's how you want to do it. All right, I'm out here. Hope you enjoyed it. Good luck.